good afternoon.
Good
Since,
afternoon. Yes,
since
absolutely.
technically it is the afternoon now. So, Amit, I spend my mornings nowadays watching IPL games, at least on those days when we have a double header. But you can watch both games, I think. Me on the West Coast on the double header, I can only watch the second game. But looks like you watch both.
Now, I watched both because the first game starts at 5 o'clock my time, which is 3 o'clock your time, which is
Yeah,
way too early for you.
yeah,
So
even
I
for me.
have that luxury a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. Um, and I'm sure you have been watching IPL, but what about the women's IPL? That just got over. How about that? Have you been watching that too?
Yes, we watched that. It was a fantastic event. Mumbai Indians retained their trophy, defending champions. And I, for once, never thought they are going to lose because they were dominant throughout. And a lot of Indian, yes, the player of the series was Natalie Skewer Brunt. But outside of that, a lot of Indian players came to the fore. And I really, really wanted to see some of the girls' performance because the ODI World Cup for women's is coming up in 5 months. It starts September 29th and hosted by India. So there's a jump from T20 into ODI, but you know how the things goes. Most of the squad will come from WPL.
Especially in cricket, in women's cricket, where your bench is not that deep, so you end up
Yes.
doing the same. You don't get that kind of specialist players like you do in men's cricket. And looks like, I mean, I always look at India as the chokers. They had a very famous meltdown against England in
They
England.
had a famous, yes. So, unfortunately, look at this way. So, India has played in 10 women's ODI World Cups. 8 times we reached the final four or top four because there was a time there used to be only final between the top two in the standings, say top four. And once we have reached the finals and we have lost it. So, India having a great domestic season, WPL, second largest women's T20 league after women's Big Bash league. And we still have not won the final. So, yeah, if we call out South Africa as a choker on the men's side, India is exactly there on the women's side. We reach the semi-final top four almost every time and we don't win. So I am actually really, of course, we always root for them, looking forward to them breaking that barrier. And I think Indian team is talented, like South African teams. It's in the head. Once we break that barrier, once somebody wins, I think it will be a dominant 8 to 10 years by that team,
Yeah, a little bit like Australia. No?
like Australia. Yes.
Um, well, going into IPL, so it's now what 4 weeks? I think so.
Yeah, yeah, 3 weeks, 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Entering the fourth from tomorrow. Yes, today is
Yes.
Saturday, so tomorrow Sunday. Um, so my impressions has been like people are scoring even more runs. This seems to be this time, and we have a couple of new captains and the usual changes that happen, player changes that happen, and I also see the little bit like what we talked about in the last podcast, where we talked about the people who are now slowly moving out or moving away. Of course, even the people who move away, they stay on at IPL. And again, Dhoni and Ashwin are good examples of that. But we are starting to see even their sun is setting slowly. So a lot of things to talk about IPL. Why don't you go
So
into
first thing you started about the scoring runs part. So of course today was a perfect example. Punjab set what 245 target of 246 and SRH chased it 9 balls to spare. How crazy is that? Correct?
And if
So
they did
they
not
made
lose those 2 wickets, I think a head fell at 177 or something.
Yeah, so if they
Should
don't
have
lose,
dropped.
maybe they would have done 2, 3 balls earlier or 5 balls earlier.
Yeah.
So it was a phenomenal hitting. But look at SRH. Let's talk about SRH for a second. This is only their second win. So I'll put SRH team this year, and I'll give you two examples. You remember 1990s Goran Ivanisevic, of course, the tennis
Yeah,
player,
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah,
and very recently Bryce DeChambeau in the golf.
yeah.
They both were great, but I'm talking about at the great level, what's there? They are one trick ponies. Goran won the Grand Slam purely on the basis of his serve.
Yeah.
He did over those 7 rounds, I think 210 aces. Think about it. More than 30 aces per match. That is phenomenal, correct? If everything goes great in one day, you won to a stretch of 2 weeks, you win. Same with Bryce. He has actually did work on his game, and I saw his approach game becoming very, very good, and he won his second Grand Slam last year. So Bryce is changing. Same with SRH, one trick pony.
Which is the openers?
Openers, and 4 matches in a row, their openers crashed. They lost in a row. So they have 1-2, both at home, short grounds. The pitch comes up slow. The bat comes up to the bat. Is an even bounce. It's not a two-pace pitch, two bounce pitch, single pace, single bounce, and it's very easy to hit. So that's the way it is. It's a hitter's game at the end of the day. But let's look at very differently, and you will see that from a Sky, our man Surya Kumar Yadav point of view. You see the evolution of batters. They start with 2 or 3 different kind of tricks. Then every batter, every year, the good ones add 2 or 3 new things every year. And over 5 or 6 good years, 5 or 6 years in IPL at the top are very good years. They end up being 10 to 15 different kinds of strokes. And that's how they survive. The moment they stop innovating, people figure them out and they are gone. Sky came into IPL with probably 10 to 15 tricks. He was one of those guys who had all the tricks at his disposal before he came.
They call him a 360 player, right?
360 player. True 360 player. ABD was also called that, but he's also a true 360 player. But what has happened? He has not added a new shot in last 3 years. What is happening to Sky? Do you see him dominating anything? No, because at the end of the day, howsoever it may be hitter's game, but remember in cricket, hitters react. The only people who control the game should be the bowlers because they start the motion. They can, if they know what the batter is going to do, they can control the shots. So that's where the game is. That's where it's evolving. A little tweak and it should get good. And we can always debate. You and I come from the purist test world, which we think the test is the best form of cricket. Okay, and I don't think so. I will ever change my opinion. We like IPL, we watch IPL, but we don't call it the standard cricket. It's just something different. Correct. So that part will continue. How do you feel IPL T20 versus cricket going on right now?
Like you just said, I mean, I always look at Test cricket as the baseline, and everything is an evolution off of that. I mean, which is historically accurate. But every evolution, I feel something else is going away. But like you just said, like innovation is change. And if I was a LinkedIn guru, I'd say yes, of course you have to change, you have to keep innovating to stay relevant. So it changes and stays relevant, but it takes away from what I enjoy about the game. Let me just put it that way. Just like in the movies. I mean, yeah, even one time movies used to have action or special effects was handmade. Now everything can do to a computer. Does it make the movie better, more realistic, but not better necessarily? So to me, it is also the same thing with cricket. It doesn't make the game better. I like the way it is, but new batsmen come in, new players, new bowlers come in. So
Yeah.
I worry about as these changes happen, those changes will soon take over, and no one is going to be bothering with, a little bit like the Cheteshwar Pujara thing. He's just going to become obsolete because nobody will want it anymore.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Like manufacturing in America. You might give tariff, but nothing's going to happen to it. So
Yeah,
I feel that that's the way that world moves. So I'm fine with that. But it's always interesting to see some of these innovations, and we have seen innovations in shots. And as earlier sharing in our group, one of the shots that I saw Abhishek Tiwari hit of Marco Jensen, and when the ball is gone to the, I mean, it's on his off stump. He's a left-hand batsman. He's on his off stump. Guy goes right across, and then somehow he manages to swivel and pull it to where your square
fine
leg,
leg.
your fine leg would be. I mean, this is weird shots.
Yeah.
Now,
But Don Bradman will be turning in his grave looking at that shot. What the heck was that?
yeah, which is fine. Okay, like I'm not always going for the purest shot. Abhishek hit some brilliant leg side or sixes, which are would have been a six anyway, not just in the short grounds. But what also changes with it is the colors, the the way that Nehal Vadera today from the Punjab Kings was on field with a mic and talking through the game, and suddenly the captain is telling him to move, and the poor guy, he's running, and I can hear him panting while he's talking, giving that color commentary to or on-field commentary to I think it was Harsha on the commentary box. So those kind of things is a little bit jarring. What I enjoy is, yes, of course, these are great batsmen hitting well and playing well, and some of the games are tight. And just look at today, the morning game, LGS and Lucknow and Gujarat Titans, what they hit like, I think Gujarat Titans hit like two, or maybe Lucknow was batting first. So I think they hit like 2 or 3 sixes. No, Gujarat was batting first. They hit 2 or 3 sixes, and that's it. I mean, the whole game had probably three or four sixes. So it's not that every game is a run fest like that. So that part is interesting. But yes, coming back to my thing, I feel that some of the innovations in the way that the game is being played, it's always interesting to see some of the innovations in the way the broadcasting, less so. I just find the broadcasting is such that they overhype everything, and you don't really get to see the way that the game is played in the how the shot is being or how the ball was bowled, because they suddenly start manufacturing every angle, camera angle. It's very jarring for me. I just don't get to the beauty of the game. That's it.
Same here. And the other thing which is so-called innovation is the individual achievements overshadowing the team achievements. Look, on the field, it has always been about team. The individual awards are either statisticians, news people, or outs after the game is over.
Yeah.
Now, this orange caps and purple caps are today. After the first inning of the Punjab SRH game, Sai Sudarshan, no, sorry, the previous game, the Gujarat game,
Gujarat,
Sai
Lucknow.
Sudarshan overtook Nicholas Puran. So he was given the orange cap, and he was very proudly wearing the orange cap when Puran was batting, and Puran overtook him again in the batting. What was that going on? It should not be about the individual. And at that time, if Puran had said, take off your cap, give it to me, you no longer hold it, who could have stopped him, correct? So it became, keep those things out. That's for the post-match ceremonies. Inside the ropes, it's all about the team. But yeah, IPL is out about individual Premier League. I think that's what IPL right now.
It's like individual publicity league. But
It's
anyway,
publicity league.
unlike in the US where you have assists and you get some credits for assists, you don't really get that in cricket.
Yeah, you don't
Maybe
get
that
that.
will also change. Maybe
That will also change. Yeah. They are recording so many stats. So the last question, which you brought it up about the seniors and the captaincy changes and all, look, that has been a challenge with cricket in general and Indian cricket with particular, that stars don't want to retire, don't want to get off till they are literally kicked out, and nobody really kicks them out till they are ready to go on their own. Look at Dhoni as an example. He has served Indian cricket very well, done very well. But we know that last 3, 4 years, he is very ineffective in IPL. He even was retained by Chennai using the tweaked clause of uncapped player if you are not played international cricket for 5 years. And Rituraj Gaikwad was a captain. Unfortunately, got injured, but I was sad that he got injured in a full squad of 18 to 22 people, which IPL allows you. They had to give it back to Dhoni, the captainship. Dhoni is no longer going to be there after this year. We say it every year, but he still comes back next year. There must be other players. It's a part-time role anyway because Gaikwad got injured. Give it to somebody, let somebody else learn the ropes, correct? But no, we still go back to the aging stars. I don't know why.
So in national team, there is more of a push to get someone out. And sadly or bizarrely, Dhoni, when he left, we did not want him to leave. He left in the middle of the tour, remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
And here I shouldn't say we, but probably many people would rather him leave so that they can get the team composition back in balance. But what I notice is in franchise cricket, where you'd imagine that it must be an easier decision because it's only the owner who makes the decision. What else?
Yeah,
Whereas in national team, there's many other stakeholders. But it doesn't, because I think the commercial thing is coming in because Dhoni is a crowd puller. People are coming in just to watch Dhoni. And a few months back in February, I was visiting Chennai, and I was at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, at the Chepauk Stadium. I'm sorry, I was at the Chepauk Stadium, and I had a couple of friends who were also members, and they're hardcore supporters of CSK, and for them it is like the whole thing is built around the Dhoni fan club. And so you take that out, even though the guy is not delivering, you do not want to lose that funding. And that's what is happening. It's a little bit like, remember the old Amitabh movies like Lal Badshah and so, and that 90s, late 80s, 90s era Amitabh movies. He's still playing the hero. He's not able to.
Jadugar,
Jadugar,
Tufan.
yeah, I was just thinking of Jadugar actually. And but people still pay money to see him. And you're like embarrassed at some point. Like, all right, come on. Or even the Rajnikant movies nowadays. But anyway, so that's how it is without belaboring that point. But I'm happy to see, on the topic of captains, happy to see some of the new captains. Akshar, Patikal is a new captain.
Yes.
Who else?
Rajat Patidar.
Patidar, yeah. Sorry, I meant Patidar, not Patikal.
Patidar, and actually, Shreyas was always a captain last year.
Yeah.
He came back, and
was Pant a new
Pant
captain?
was there. Pant was, because of injury, he went away, but he was a captain before that for Delhi. Though they gave a chance to, no, Pat Cummins was a captain, Ajinkya Rahane was the captain, Pandu and everything. They did give a chance to Riyan Parag to captain 3 matches before Sanju Samson came. That's what the Dhoni's CSK should have done. Give somebody a chance for 3-4 matches before the main guy, when the main guy is injured. But
and the other thing is, like, sad to see some of those players are now just gone. And Dhoni, of course, is the greatest example. But even Ashwin, looking at him now, he's like, the intensity is gone.
The intensity is gone.
And in some cases, like a Kohli or
Rohit
Sharma, or some of the Nareens bowling, or Maxi, and you can see that they are now, the OGs are slowly moving out now. So,
and you are right. Franchise owner, it should be much faster. And I hope they take the action and some of these go away. And they have done good job for cricket. So I feel I will be sad, but I still want them to go.
But, they're going to make money at the end of the day. If a franchise owner, I need the money more than, which kind of brings us to what you were also discussing earlier about how some of these leagues or franchises will have teams, even if they're not making the money, even if they're not winning, they'll still be viable as a weird commercial entity because the brand still carries value. And then I was mentioning Manchester United to you, but there are other things, right? I mean,
so at least Manchester United, it has not fallen that bad. At least in EPL, there are 3 teams which get relegated. So there is something in losing. In NFL or basketball or IPL, there is no disadvantage of losing. As long as they are pulling in the crowd, they are getting the ticket money, jersey sales, TV revenue. They are good with putting an exciting team, not necessarily a winning team. That's it. So talking about NFL and basketball today is the last day of the season. The playoffs are going to start. So 2 things for you. One, you are a Warriors guy. I'm a Lakers guy. Both are on the west side. What do you think Warriors, chances of Warriors when OKC is doing so well? But before that, the shock of Mike Malone, the guy who won Denver Nuggets first tournament, first ring 2 years back. Excuse me, getting fired 3 games before the season ended. So how do you react to that?
We are just talking about in IPL how there would be nobody is accountable. You can still, they change the coaches though, to be honest, but the players don't seem to have any accountability if you're a brand player.
Yes.
Here, on the other hand, you have somebody who's been bounced out that quickly. And I think now, our Steve Kerr is one of the longest serving coaches at this point. It was only like yesterday that he came, to me at least. It is, I think obviously they're losing games, and they were not at the level that they were when they won. The decline is there.
Yeah.
Surprised that it happened at such a in such a comprehensive manner that the changes happened. And it's a little bit like what I saw in the Giants also, our San Francisco Giants also, they did the same thing, front office, coach, everything. But it was also interesting because at that point, the Giants similarly had appeared in 3 back-to-back World Series and all of that, but the decline has been going on for some time. It is just that the decline seemed to be much, the gap between the victory and when he was let go was a much shorter time frame. That was the funny thing. Well, or the sad thing, not funny.
Yeah, so here the decline, honestly, for me, they had a 4-game losing streak when the firing happened. First 4-game losing streak after 2 years.
Yeah.
But they are still number 4 seed in the playoffs. It's
Yeah.
not that they are barely making the playoffs or not making the playoffs. They are
That's what
number
I meant.
4 seed. So I, of course, initially was enraged that if you think they cannot win and you think the season is done, if you have already given it up on the season, why doing it a week before the season ended? Do it after the season ended. But then, along with them, they fired the GM. So for last 2 years, the GM and the coach were loggerheads. It became a faction. If you are siding with the GM as a player, you will spend most of time on the bench by the coach.
Yeah.
If you are on the side of the coach, GM released outside of Jokic all the starters from 2 years back winning squad because they were on the side of the coach. GM did not extend their contract. Okay, so it became that bad. So sometimes what the owner did is, I think we have a decent enough team. Let's shock the system. So the only thing they got out of this is shocking the system, and maybe that spurs the whole team together to do something in the playoffs. And if that is my mindset today, I think they did a good job of doing that because Malone was gone anyway. Okay, so it's a shock in the system done by a owner, which I don't like the owner, Stan Kroenke, because he moved the Rams from St. Louis to LA. But hey, LA, he moved, he won the championship. He owned Colorado Avalanche, they won the championship last year. 2 years back, Denver Nuggets won the championship. So they are
He has
doing
a
well.
track record, you're saying.
Huh?
He has a track record.
He has a track record of winning. And he's not just not putting money, he wants to win and he wins everywhere.
But this Jor Ka Jhatka thing is seems like a reflection of our political system today. Just pull the plug and see what happens.
Yeah, just do it to see what happens. And I think to an extent that is part of it. And let's see what happens. Anyway, look, Jokic is the best player, the best basketball player in the world today.
Yeah.
He has won 3 MVPs. But coming back to Warriors versus Lakers, we have two very similar teams. Lakers have done a fantastic job. Only one thing, that they are ranked number 3. The reason why I say 3, because till the West Finals, they will avoid OKC now.
Yeah.
Okay. So they have avoided OKC as long as they can. I think that increases their chances. On talent side, nobody can stop OKC versus Cleveland and Boston winners. Those are 3 best teams in the league right now.
Yeah.
But I think from an experience point of view, OKC is lacking a lot. They have never been this high in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge.
The other thing I'll say also, just a quick word, is in terms of both Lakers and Warriors, they made critical mid-season personnel change, which has helped massively.
Lakers fell into it.
Yeah.
Lakers did not make a change. Mavericks made a change, and Lakers were, hey, I am a Lakers guy, I will take it. We got Luka for chump change.
Yes.
Yes, Anthony Davis, I loved him.
You lost Anthony Davis. That is a big one, though.
Yeah, we lost because he was a forward/center, and Lakers don't have a big man at all, and that will hurt in the playoffs from a defensive point of view. But Luka is any day better than him. Luka is 26 years old. Anthony Davis is 5 years further ahead, 31, 32. From a team point of view, I think Lakers are better off in Luka. And we saw the emotional Luka when Luka went back to Mavericks the other day. He was crying, and I became emotional with him. We have seen the other side of the emotion when he's shouting at the referees and everybody else for every foul. This made him human. That he is still hurt by the fact. Huh?
Lakers still won that one, right?
The Lakers won big time, but it made the players human. Yeah. That hey, it hurts them despite the money that overnight they were traded.
Yeah.
from their beloved spot to some other team.
Yeah. No, I remember when Anthony Davis, I think he came from Pelicans, right? Uh,
Yes.
and
But
then
that's the trade he wanted.
he
So
wanted,
he
exactly. That's
triggered
what
the
I was
trade.
saying. He
He
wanted
triggered
it, so
the
it was
trade
more planned. Same with Jimmy Butler coming into.
yes, to
It
Warriors.
was Butler was fighting with Heats, but did really well for us once he came
Yes,
here.
he has brought the intensity which Warriors needed to go into that.
Yeah. And
Okay, switching gears, last couple of topics. One, did you see? I watched the last three NHL games for Capitals, Washington Capitals, just because I
Ovechkin.
did not want to lose the moment live when Alex Ovechkin
Yeah,
scores goal number 895. Look, I started following NHL when I came to this country in 2000.
yeah,
At that time, this was one of the stats. Total number of points, which is goals plus assists, still nobody can touch. Okay, from the great one.
yeah,
But Wayne Gretzky.
yeah.
But this also was one of the things nobody can come close. And in last 25 years, Alex Ovechkin coming close and actually crossing it, it was one of those things in sports you know it's never going to happen again.
And lesser games, right? Lesser number of games.
No, same game. Actually, exactly the same game. The
Wow.
894th goal of Wayne Gretzky is the same number of games he took to score that goal. And
Oh,
in the previous game, actually, I have to give it to Alex Ovechkin. In the previous game, he could have done 895th goal. There was a chance in an open empty net goal. You
yeah,
know, when the teams pull the goalie and all, he refused. He says, I don't want the record breaking goal on that.
yeah.
I like that actually.
That's
Some people say
policy.
a record is a record. He says no. That's a record-breaking goal. That will be played a million times because that's a record-breaking goal. It can't be an empty net goal.
Interestingly, Wayne Gretzky is in the news now for a completely different reason, right? Before all
Yeah.
of this came, because
Yes,
he's a
absolutely.
Trump supporting Canadian. So poor guy, he's now caught in the middle of all this, whether
Yeah,
he
he's caught in
likes
the
it or
middle
not.
of all this. Yeah, but he did well. So he did well. He gave a very very good speech at the time when they
Yeah,
stopped the game, and he came in and felicitated
yeah,
Ovi. It was a good proud moment. I like that moment.
yeah.
So last thing, what do you think about torpedo bats, man?
I'm from a time when I thought torpedo was Ian Thorpe. I thought that was the only
The torpedo?
torpedo.
Yes.
So I was reminded, in cricket, you remember when that the aluminium bat controversy and Dennis Lilly? And I was under the impression that it is something. So the reason the aluminium bat immediately get disqualified because you can't just do it. This is in the rule book, ICC, all of that. He just went and did it on his own. I thought MLB manages these things. What I didn't know, a friend told me who's much more in depth into baseball, was that you can do the research, and they paid for the research, the Yankees, and after the R&D, they figured out this shape might help, paid the money, did it, ran the experiment, it worked out. Now MLB's come and said, okay, other team can also do it. So it's a little bit like, okay, so it's one company does that drug research, and then other companies are using that patent to create their own versions of it. That's the way that I look at it. But I didn't realize that you could just do it on your own. And that
So
was
there
new.
are two guidelines. So there are two guidelines which the bats have. One is the weight, okay? And weight, they don't have a guideline. Weight has become more of a standard 31 to 33 ounces because it's easy to swing.
Yeah.
You can have a 36-ounce bat also if you want.
A little bit like our cricket, right? In cricket,
Yeah,
you can
and
get a
record.
heavier
But
bat
the
as well.
diameter of the cylinder is fixed.
Yeah.
So what happened in this is like this is a bat which is more even cylinder. They took the weight off at the bottom and increased the kind of a bulb
Yeah.
in the
The
middle,
sweet spot, right? That
the
becomes
sweet
sweet spot.
spot.
Yeah.
So two things, my view. So one, you cannot adapt to it if you have not practiced for it.
Yeah.
Because the weight displacement of the swing, and if you do it just in the game with the full pressure on, actually you will hurt your elbows and shoulders. So specifically at the MLB level, the amount of swings they do. So people have to only teams which have practiced a lot, and they may be practicing in the batting practice before they include in the game in
Yeah.
June, July, or anything.
No.
Otherwise, there will be so many injuries.
Yeah.
Number two, the most critical thing. I assumed MLB will kill the bat. And the reason is nothing to do with safety or anything. The reason was from the betting companies.
Yeah.
All the betting companies have how many teams, how many players will cross 300 as average, how many home runs per player, and all those stats. If these bats are going to end up doing more, betting companies tend to lose money. But there was a study done. Don't just fall in that trap. Yes, there may be few players who will adapt to it very well, but there are other few players who will actually fall flat on this because this is a new concept. And by the time this becomes a standard, by next year, the betting companies will adjust their numbers.
Yeah.
So if it gets cancelled anytime during the season, the betting companies will be a reason, nothing else, because it's all about money.
Yeah. Yeah.
All about money. Because if you look at it last year, only four MLB players had the average of 300 plus, which is the lowest in 25 or 30 years I have been watching. So the MLB game has got skewed in favor of the pitchers a lot. So, and pitchers also have changed a lot because they are doing now every 4 day rest, they are doing 5 day rest, more fresher pitchers, longer pitching lineup, and faster pitches and all. So, I think MLB thought this is a good idea to balance a little bit more.
Opposite of cricket, right?
Opposite of cricket. Yes, absolutely. And one small thing which we talked, forgot about it, maybe in ODI, they go back with one ball, which may balance the skew the whole thing back in favor of the bowlers now.
Yeah. 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 I mean,
Okay.
all right. But yes, I mean, hey, the Giants had a good start and they beat the Yankees yesterday. So we are happy. But one other thing I have to say that I thought the Yankees' biggest innovation this season was the beard. That, they allowed their players to have facial hair.
Yes,
Who
they
knew
are
about
allowed.
it?
Absolutely. That was a change after more than 100 years. That's a big, big change. And by the way, my Tigers are also doing very well. Before we say bye, let's come back to cricket or the other sad note, but happy trails. We saw Will Pucovski. What happened? The young 27-year-old player from Australia, he played one test versus India in the last series. He played 3 years of first class cricket, has an average of 45, doing very well. In last 3 years, he had 3 concussions. That's way too much. And after the checkup, the doctor says this is not good for the game. And at a young age of 27, after playing one test, he is retired.
Yeah.
I feel sad for him, good for him that he was strong enough to take a decision like that, but sad that this effect of sports, which is also impacting not the livelihood, but the life of a player.
Yeah. And when I was reading his story in Cricket Info, one of the things that really struck me was how he was saying that he would sleep a lot, and his wife at some point is look. It's not apparent to everybody if you're injured, if you're looking healthy, right? A lot of hidden disabilities are like that. And his wife, who of course knows his condition, used to say that my wife was wondered, and I could see that maybe she's getting upset with me for not pulling my weight in the household. And and that made me feel very sad because of course, and obviously I'm not blaming his wife at all, and it's not like his wife even said any of these things. In his mind, he's thinking about it.
Yeah.
It just made me very sad. But it's funny that funny, sad. But I saw another news item today, and I was just thinking about these injuries in sports, which obviously in those of us who follow NFL know that it happens. Boxing, we've seen that happen. And by the way, we never talked about it, but boxing also, we lost a great boxer, but
George Foreman.
yes, Josh Foreman. And, with the Foreman Ali fight was one of the greatest. But look at what happened to Ali and in his last days. And then I read this, which you can see now on screen. I saw this in the Athletic today when this French rugby international, Sebastien Chabal, who does not remember anything of his career. And he talks about it. He's 47-year-old, and he was, he played from 2000 to 2011 for France, 62 times, and he just has no memory. I'm like, man, how much sadder can it be? It's like when people tell him about what he has done, and that's I'll stop sharing. But that was one of the saddest things that I read. So here we are talking about cricket and the sport, and talking about the glories of sport and why it makes us happy. And in your case with why you also cry with the players. And here we are talking about poor Dhoni and his knee and is not allowing him, but he's still carrying on. And then you have things like this. This is just, you know, makes us all very sad in a generally in a bit of a sad atmosphere right now. So that's a little bit of a downer to end with. But it's sports, so you always get comeback stories and feel good stories. Those never go away.
Okay, on that melancholy note, let's say bye to our listeners and thank you for tuning in and see you in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody. Bye, Amit, and see you soon.